Hello everyone and welcome back to Faithful to the Traitors. We are here to talk about episode 3 of series 2.
I just had to
What was that?
I just had to release it. I'm so pent up with excitement to talk about this episode.
Of the UK series of the Traitors.
Oh,
I am Ben and I am of course 100% faithful.
Siri is also faithful, as am I. My name is Alex and I am faithful too. Although we might have to take it to a revote a bit later on because I don't know
And if it's a draw,
because I
it's a flip of the coin.
flip of a
A gold coin.
Let's not go jumping into that just yet, but we need to discuss what exactly is fate. What is fate? Is it a coin toss? Is it Claudia doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo? I don't know. I want to know.
Maybe it'll be like glow up and they'll have to put an eyebrow on with makeup. And the one who does the best lipstick.
Fringe.
Yeah, the best fringe trim on Claudia wins.
Yeah, but each has one half of Claudia's fringe. So the rest of the series, the one fringe is like slightly higher than the next. Or I take that. I'll take that all day long. Listen, right, guys, you have to get in touch with us about what you're thinking about this year's Traitors, because I know I say this every season of the Traitors. The American version, the New Zealand version, not so much the Australian version, the Canadian
Not so much
version.
the US version either, really. But
It had its moments, but like this is peak Traitors. This is what
always happens in episode 3.
it's always episode 3. The BBC are smart, you see, they're canny. They know that they released the first 3 episodes, you're hooked. There's no chance that you're not going to watch it live on Wednesday. I will be fascinated to see how many people come back to it on Wednesday night next week. Obviously come back to us as well when you have listened to it.
And we had an email from Claire, which she's going to like this because they said, "Hi, Ben and Alex," correct way round. We love your podcast. It makes us laugh so much. Just getting in touch to say, please, can you talk about the faithful who looks like Harry Potter? I think he may be called Brian or Brian. What do you think of him? He's not getting much airtime. Well,
Brian put seeds in that.
I was going to say, this is the episode where Brian gets some airtime, so that's good.
Oh my goodness!
So,
I actually thought when they said the one that looked like Harry Potter, they were talking about Meg. But she looks a bit like Hermione. She looks like Hermione. Listen, any of you, the public, the general you, all of you can get in touch with us. I'm having a Brian moment.
Okay, come on, spit it
I'm getting
out.
myself all tied up. I'm getting all excited. I'm like a coil spring. I need to let it out.
I announced Brian was my favourite before I'd witnessed any of it, and now I stand by my love for him.
Or is it? faithfultothetraitors@gmail.com is how you can get in touch with us on a long form email. We should give them an address, a post office box address, so people can get in touch with us via post. You find us on X or Twitter at Traitors Podcast or Instagram at Faithful to the Traitors. If you enjoy listening to the podcast, then go to buymeacoffee.com/faithful to throw some gold coin our way. You can also subscribe, write a review, share us with all your friends, or you can go to our YouTube channel, which is searching Faithful to the Traitors Podcast. And on there you can subscribe, ring the bell, put a thumbs up, and you'll never miss an episode of this podcast where we're just going to go absolutely loopy crazy mad.
Can I just say as well, before we go on to Traitors, we do have another podcast on the same YouTube channel which releases every Sunday. So if you still want more of us after this, because we're not back till next week for the Traitors, are we?
That's true. So there'll be another episode. The other podcast is called Comment Below.
Yeah, every Sunday on the same YouTube channel.
So we're under like the umbrella of BAM Productions, but I'm not sure if that's a good searchable. If you just find us on social media, you can then, it's like the key.
Yeah.
You unlock our whole world. So come find us on social media, as I say, at Traitors Podcast on X, at Faithful to the Traitors on Instagram, and Threads. Oh my goodness, I keep forgetting Threads.
Wow.
Doesn't? As I was going to say, as does everyone else. Now, look, there was lots and lots of discussion and conversation. We'll talk about who died in a second, but there was lots of conversation and discussion about, who's going to vote for who around the house. But it really came to nothing by the time we got to the round table.
Traitors are doing a good job mucking everyone up.
Well, 2 of the traitors are. One of the traitors seems to be just kind of like following along, just kind of shooting the breeze. Okay, well, Paul is obviously A1 top head traitor.
Done a 180, yep.
We all knew that.
Related to Diane.
Harry is like his henchman. Harry's like the Cyril Sneer
corporal
of like he's kind of there, kind of just watching along, getting his orders from Paul. He got his orders from Paul at the table. well, we'll get to that as well in a minute. He got his order from Paul at the table, and he stepped in line and did exactly what he should do. Miles is just kind of following around on the coattails, in my opinion.
His name's not coming up, though, so he can't be doing that bad of a job.
He's not doing a bad job at getting caught as not being a traitor, but he's doing a bad job at being one of the traitors. It's exactly what I said was going to happen. Paul and Harry have taken the reins, and they're taking control, and they don't care if both Miles and Ash. Miles was just an added person. They didn't think they had to add, and they just decided to add him. And I'm sorry, I love you, Miles, but I think that you are our number one option, you were the one we picked first, you were the one we all wanted, I think that's, nah. They knew Miles would be a soft touch, and they got him in. And Ash, unfortunately, you said that you don't think Ash has done a bad job, but personally, I've not seen her doing any kind of job. I don't think she's done anything at all. And
I just like
no disrespect, Ash. I love Ash, but no disrespect. I'm not surprised she's in the position she's now in.
Blame it on the edit.
Blame it on the boogie. I'm not going to blame it on the edit, because like she's not, even when she has an opportunity to shoot at someone, she's not taking it up, because she had her crosshairs on Tracy. And she didn't do anything with it. And I was like, yeah, go on, Ash. Get rid of the clairvoyant.
You know who Tracy reminds me of? Because you know when people just remind you of people, it bugs you. Who is that? Tracy the clairvoyant, I've decided, she reminds me of the honest vocal coach from TikTok. Do you remember her?
I do.
Same exact voice, and she also did things with rocks and clairvoyancy as well. So they're they're the same type of. It's the same person.
Maybe it is the same person. There's a few people who look like people from YouTube. Zach looks like that guy who does that Food Wars.
Yes.
YouTube channel.
Brian looks like Harry Potter.
Brian looks like Meg looks like Hermione, and the one from Yellow Jackets, who I always forget her name.
Diane looks like that person that you said.
Ross looks like Diane.
The last episode, I don't know if you were, but I was like, that's so stupid. They haven't got the same accent. They can't be related just because they're both ginger. Now look what happened. Another twist.
Paul
Series
and
2
Diane
twist.
aren't related. So Zach threw out the idea that Paul and Diane are related. Diane's like, what a load of nonsense. And then in the next breath, and we both kind of audibly went when they said it.
Clutched our pearls.
Yeah. Ross is Diane's son. And then they cut to the clip on the train where they're going, right, we're going to have to pretend, you know the weird thing's going to be, Mum? I'm going to have to call you Diane. And Diane's like, nah, I'll be fine.
I know, he slags off his mum's roast dinner.
Well, I don't ever slag off.
She invites him over to try her, right? It's just, yeah. Just, what are the chances of this happening, that someone thought her and Paul were related? And
yeah, I know.
That's like, that's Zach's game all over. He's guessing half right but wrong. That's what Zach is doing, and he's upsetting everyone as he does it.
Because Zach does it in a really kind of smarmy, charmy way, and I can see it's weird because if I was in that environment, I would feel the same way as a few people in the group feel about Zach, and that is that he's a bit cocky, a bit confident. He's not really. He's the kind of guy outside the world you'd be looking at him and thinking, "What a dick." But as an observer, as an observer of the show, I actually quite like Zach.
Right.
I'm enjoying Zach, and I kind of like the way he's ruffling a few feathers to get some information out. And he is, to be fair, getting information. He's just doing it differently to everyone else. And I think what Zach's done is actually quite clever. But can I quickly say that as soon as Diana Ross, I'm going to call them Diana Ross from now on.
Yeah.
As soon as Diana Ross started, you found out they were mother and son, instantly I was like, oh, of course he is. You can see Diane in Ross. And we found out that Diane's hair colour, it's not natural. It's like Cedar Black. It's in a box.
Yeah.
Oh, Diane. And she was really offended that it was redhead as well. It's like, I'm not redhead, I'm brown. It's like, all right, Diane, calm yourself.
I mean, we did learn a bit more about Tracy. We learned how good she was at her job. Are you ready?
I'm going to start with Capricorn.
I'm an Aries all day long.
Perfect.
There you go. That sums up Tracy. Shall we move on?
And also, she was like, there was something, I can feel it. The ghost is telling me, what's that, Sam? It's someone in your childhood you had a trauma. It's like, oh my God, are you actually more cliche than I thought? It's like, for crying out loud.
But she guessed Ash, so, you know.
Well,
Broken clock.
That's true. They're always right twice in a day. She said, I wrote it down here because I was actually, I quite enjoyed that, where she felt like Ash was blocking energy and her aura from her.
That's the weird walk, you see.
Well, yes,
how she walked around the castle.
Harry had a point. Ashley's been walking very weirdly, and so she's making herself suspicious.
We yet to see the weird walk, but we believe that it is real.
Bad edit, as you said. They're not showing it on the edit.
So before we go on, should we talk about the murder then?
Yes, we. 10 minutes ago, I said we'll talk about murder in a
Because
minute.
poor Kyra, she really wanted those shields. She got the first shield, survived the night. Wanted the next shield, didn't get it, then she died. So maybe she had a point. Who knows?
Like Henry VIII's wives, divorced, survived, died.
Yeah. So we are going to go on to our
What's your name and where do you come from?
little fact file. So,
All right, Zilla.
one of the youngest contestants at 21 years old. Kyra is outspoken and not afraid to stand up for herself. She wants those shields. That doesn't say that, I just said
What's
that.
that got to do with anything?
Standing up for herself, she wanted her shield. She got it.
Well, she
Apart
stood up
from when she
against Zach.
Yeah, there you go.
Everyone likes to stand up. They saw that. To be fair, they see that almost. That's another thing I like about Zach. That it's almost a badge of honor that someone stands up against him, and Zach just kind of sits there and goes, yeah.
Okay. But she says, quote, I'm successful at my job and I have the ability to be articulate and socialise with other people, so I think I'll be good in this game. She's aware being a traitor would be a lot of pressure, but if she is one, she'll be doing, quote, anything that I can to win for the traitors, and I'm going to shock people. So there you go.
She didn't really get the opportunity to shock people, and quite rightly again, a lot of the group said that she was quite a threat because she was starting to ask questions. I agree. I think Kyra, if she had the opportunity to stay on longer, she would have been quite an asset to the faithful.
Yeah, she's one of those faithful that was too outspoken but not dangerous enough to murder like Diane had become.
She jumped out the gate a little bit too quickly, and where, as you say, where Diane is seen as almost like a safe bet, I think Kyra they saw as more of a threat. But as we've seen today, people are starting to spot Diane as being a threat, and that's kind of kicking out there now. Wow, I honestly, oh my goodness, this episode.
We'll talk about the mission quickly, the Scarecrow mission, another new mission which we love to see.
Well, I just hope they have a completely new selection of
I hope
missions.
so. The Scare were you scared?
Of the Scarecrows?
Yeah, the lineup.
Only if one of the Scarecrows suddenly went, they missed a trick there. If one of the Scarecrows went, "Rah," as they kind of ran toward
Opened its chest up.
Right.
They did. They pulled the buttons off, shoved their fists
Well,
in.
some of them, looking at you, Anthony, was rubbing his hand a little further down.
Crown jewels. He got a bit confused there.
I feel like Anthony was having an opening of the mind at that moment.
The
Like
gold,
an
the gold,
epiphany.
the gold was in the heart. Was what the sign said. So Anthony went down below for the crown
Why
jewels.
was Anthony so obsessed with looking like it's
Crown
like
jewels. That's where the money is.
Anthony gets like a Barbie doll or a Ken doll and like looks at the trousers and just sees if there's anything there.
No,
You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna say
Curiosity
that.
there, Anthony. But all power to you, mate. All power
So they were asked questions. So they did a little quiz off screen beforehand over breakfast.
to little questionnaire.
Answered the things, and then they had to find out what the group mentality was. I mean, we have similar questions like who's the best out of us two, Alex and Ben? Who do you think was voted for your Scarecrow?
Was this an actual thing you did without me knowing?
No.
I might put
Answer.
I might put onto it. Well, obviously I'm going to say I'm the better person.
No, it was me, 97%.
Okay, of course it was. Of course it was.
Which one has the best voice to listen to in audio format, me or you?
That's definitely you. 'cause
It was
I
me,
hate
99%.
Yeah, because I hate the sound of my own voice, and you know it. So.
Which one was voted most handsome and dateable?
Oh, that's definitely me.
It was me, 99.9%.
Can I just ask, where was this survey taken place? Was it in your own mind?
It was between myself.
Okay,
Yeah,
you and the
yeah.
cat, and yet you still only got 99%.
Which one is a sheep?
Well-
You, 99%.
How dare you?
That really upset
Why
Brian.
You're the only 99% though, because if you're the only one doing this poll, surely you should be 100%.
It needs to sound
each time.
believable.
All right, Putin.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Hello.
Look, this
Brian
was
got very upset.
Brian's undoing, and this is what caused him to stop having fun and start being very, 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 very paranoid. Because this, honestly, I've never seen a man unravel so quickly. Not even Scarecrow.
You can wear all the lovely vest/open shirt combos you like, Brian, but it's not going to save you.
It was like watching that episode of The Simpsons when Ralph's heart gets torn out on screen, and you're watching it
slow
click, click,
motion,
click,
yeah.
click in slow motion. Brian was genuinely destroyed by finding out that he was voted by the group, not by how much of the group though. It could have been literally been like just over half.
Especially where these lot vote.
That he was the biggest sheep. It was
That was
quite
it, the end.
devastating. That was the end of his. Let's be honest. I feel like this is the point where we realised that Brian's game had ended.
No, it
Which
made
is
me love
such a
him though.
shame.
It reminded me of Aaron from last series.
Yeah.
That one episode where it was too much. That round table does things to you, and it was just horrible.
It shook him up big time. I mean, Zach was voted most likely to believe a conspiracy theory, kind of
Which he enjoyed.
Which he enjoyed, took it in stride. And we all thought Tracy was going to be the answer to that.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Paul, though, if his head could grow any bigger, he wouldn't be able to walk through a door. He was voted the most popular. Gave him confidence, but as we know again in the past of watching the Traitors, as soon as someone gets a little bit too confident, that can also be a negative. That can also be a sign that perhaps you need to just push back a little bit, because if you're seen as too far forward, people can start to suspect, and you then start losing your grip on the game and start slip of the tongue here, slip of the tongue there.
He wouldn't
when scarecrows.
When they asked him, they were like, "Oh no, it's not me. It's the other one. It's Johnny." He was like,
"Oh, he was playing modest.
Yeah.
It was great."
But it was him. But yeah, they won some money. How much was it? 8,000.
They won 8,000. Their total prize pot now is a very respectable £27,000.
Jasmine accidentally found a shield. Didn't know it was there.
Oh, shut up! Jasmine knew full well what she was doing. I'm sorry, but that was nonsense. As soon as she said that, I thought, you shush, Jasmine. Take it in your stride and just say, Zach did again to Zach's. This is what I mean.
Zach's there just to annoy people, I think.
Zach's the person that on the street I'd be like, Zach. But on the show, I'm like, you know what? Zach. Yeah, because he went for the shield and he was very open and honest about it. Even before Claudia had finished the sentence, which she ends every game with, you don't need to tell anyone. Zach was like, yep, I got a shield. He was like, fair enough.
They keep interrupting Claudia this series. Diane interrupted her last episode.
Brian, famously, I would say now, interrupted her this episode. If looks could kill,
I know.
Claudia was going to get her flipping dagger out, I tell you.
So shall we go on to the round table then? Because there's lots of things going on around this round table.
Yes. So, well, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, cool.
Can I say a couple more things after the game? One, Harry said in the car that he kind of played the stupid card and was like, thinking that if you were a sheep, it meant that you were literally a sheep. And he said, I'd hate to be a sheep. I'd eat grass all day.
Yeah, stand in a
that
field.
That would be a standout comment for me. A lot of people, everyone in the car was like, oh, Harry. No, I'm sorry. And that's like deliberately playing dumb.
It's like when Joey Essex says stuff. It's like, Joey Essex, no, you don't mean what you're saying.
You're playing up. Yeah. You're playing up.
He's doing the Joey Essex
for the game. Yeah, that would be a red flag for me. Immediately a red flag for me.
Everyone loves him though. Charlie loves him. She was like, I know you're faithful. So it seems to be working.
Diane seems to have pulled back a little bit from Harry as well, from her initial musings of him. But yeah, no, fine. But that was again, in hindsight, looking from the outside in, it's very different from being inside the game. It's much more intense. I completely understand. But if I had been in a car with someone and they made that stupid comment, I would immediately be like, no, Harry, you're better than that.
We also, before they went to the round table, we also got Charlotte and Zach had a little fight over roast dinner.
Yes.
Final ever meal.
Because Zach said that was her last supper, almost indicating that he was going to murder her tonight. Yeah. Charlotte took exception to that.
She told everyone as well.
Yeah, she got her Burberry coat and her Burberry bag, went to London and got herself a Pret, came back, cooled off a little bit. Yorkshire pudding, roast beef. Fair enough. Lovely roast dinner, though.
She looks like a character who would be involved in a murder mystery show, a drama show.
She looks like Miss Scarlet. If they if they made a Cluedo, a proper live action version of Cluedo again, because they have done it in the past, then Charlotte would be Miss Scarlet.
Yeah. She's the one you would suspect all series, but then it turns out not to be her.
Meg would be Miss White, the cook, the chef.
I love Meg. I'm so glad she didn't die as well. I was worried for her last episode.
We were always. Well, again, if this is a thing, if Diane. There's going to be riots on the street. If Diane gets voted off early on in the show, I genuinely believe there's going to be riots.
Well, you say that. We did get an email.
Oh, I got a message too on Instagram. But
which
you
said, I'm enjoying the new series so far. I agree with you about liking Meg. That's it. We love it.
We could say liking Meg.
But my whole family absolutely hate Diane.
I beg your pardon.
So, you know.
Give them out of their email address so people listening can have a go at them.
So not everyone loves Diane, but I've seen a few things online saying that like she's a bit harsh with the way she says stuff. So, you know, maybe it's just the gays.
Of course,
the gays tag on to an older
of
white
course they
mother.
do. They were desperately looking for someone straight away, and Diane was that.
Yeah, she was
tick. And as I say, she reminds me of Pat Mullins from Chris Lilly's comedy. Kevin on Instagram,
right,
got in touch. Hello, Kevin. Hope you don't mind me reading this out. But you said, I'm pretty amazed by Miles, considering he was a traitor for a full day, not knowing his fellow other traitors. I feel like he's played it super cool. We thought it would have been Sonia or Diane as well, only because they were so weird on that interim day.
Turns out Sonia was just weird.
As is Diane. As I say, get in touch with us. Email faithfultothetraitors@gmail.com, on X or Twitter @TraitorsPodcast, on Instagram @faithfultothetraitors. We will read out your comments on the next show, because we definitely need some comments about the roundtable.
About what everyone thinks is going to happen, because we've got, we've had a tie vote before, but we've never had if the tie vote is also a tie vote, we then have a up to chance. So...
Never had a three-way tie. There's never been a three-way on the show before, and my God, was I excited to see one. So there
wasn't it. I was going to say, before we talk about all the big bits, the way that.
Cheers.
So I'm looking at a picture of Brian and Jazz and just thinking big bits.
Yeah, fair.
Jazz got sort of called out about being quiet. Yeah. And then they were like, "Well, do you want to defend yourself?" And he was like, "No," and then didn't say anything. And he was like, "Oh, no, here we go." So when people do that, that normally sends. So I'm surprised he didn't.
Home.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get more votes after that, because he really didn't seem to.
In a weird way, I think that people kind of admired his confidence, that he didn't feel like he needed to say any more, to go any further with it, and I got that, and I quite thought that was quite cool of Jazz too. So kudos to Jazz, to be honest with you. I was quite impressed.
Yeah. I think it was at one point looking like it was going to be Ash. But then Claudia stepped forward, her heels, and then Brian went, "Can I just say something, because you're here?"
Yes, Brian literally destroyed himself. So round the round table,
Claudia was shook.
Well, Brian started the conversation, but this is the weird thing also, though. What Brian said round the round table the whole time
didn't make sense.
No,
or he
didn't
didn't
make
say
sense.
anything.
He didn't. That's it. He didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. He just talked about himself.
My heart, though, watching it, I just couldn't.
But like he talked about himself, and it was just like such an uncomfortable moment watching this unraveling of this poor man. And he was really nervous, and a lot of people thought that his nervousness was suppressed guilt, which then further made him more nervous.
But he was thinking of the sheep comment, and he wanted to be like, "Right, I'm going to go in there and prove I'm not a sheep, and I'm going to lead this flock." And then he said, "I'll start," and then didn't know what to say. And then it was all of his words I could see it happening in real time. All his words were just
escaping,
jimbled up and coming out in different bits, and it wasn't correct.
You're right. He kept stopping and starting. It
was so horrible. But then when he went up and said, "Can I just say another thing?" it was like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
Because Charlotte was next to him, and she was like, "This is weird. I'm voting for you." So,
but also Jasmine, who was almost
laughing.
She was laughing because she was desperately trying to stop him from carrying on. She was like, "Just stop, man. Just stop.
Just be quiet."
And I don't know, but it's obvious that Brian, like the whole time around that round table, and let's be honest, that round table, the one yesterday, the first round table, was kind of chaotic, a bit of a mess. There was a lot of people shouting over one another. This one was a much more civil one. Thanks to Zach, may I add. Zach said, "Let's not start throwing hate at each other. Let's just have a civil conversation with one another." And I think that kind of, again, I think Zach's got a soft power in that group, because that kind of did reflect quite well. Everyone kind of respected each other, gave each other a platform to talk about. Everyone listened.
They desperately wanted Brian to work his way out of it, but he couldn't.
But Brian obviously stewed that whole time to the point that when Claudia then... But in his mind, he thought he was getting voted. It's like you said, he related the sheep comment to a vote. And it wasn't anything to do with that. People were just thinking that he was a little bit soft, a little bit of a follower.
He was guzzling that glass of water.
That glass of water was guilty.
He was pouring it even though it was empty, like the one more drop. I hate watching stuff like that. The one last series made me really awful, but this one I think was worse. Luckily there was no bold older gay man to be horrible.
Exactly, quite to throw accusations at him. I mean, like everyone was kind of.
I think someone did
upset.
tap him on the arm. Who was next to him? Was it? I think it was Charlie, one of the three blondes who I still are. When you only get a clip of them, it's hard to tell which one. But I think it was Charlie who was like, "You're okay," but it was just.
So that kind of put Brian out into the firing line. But let's be honest. At that round table, there was no. It felt as though because the first vote there was that herd mentality. Everyone decided that was the wrong approach. So I'm now going to work on my own gut, because a lot of people, when they turned their slate over and gave their vote, they did say, "This is my gut. This is my feeling,"
and it was all over the place.
Yeah, and it was all over the place. There was no kind of direct target. But we did end up with 3 who got 4 votes each, and that was Ash, Brian and Diane.
Yeah, with Ash as well, 2 of the traitors voted for a traitor, which normally when traitors do that, they're doing it because...
Not on that vote, on the next vote,
yeah.
which we get to now, because then they had to do the revote. So then each one of them, Ash, Brian and Diane, had to then stake their cause again, giving Brian another opportunity to kind of talk up. But he didn't.
Yeah.
He actually said, I thought this would be more fun, and I thought I was more confident. And everyone just kind of, you could see the whole room going,
liability, let's kill him.
Brian.
I know, because he was like, this is a game, it's meant to be fun. And then it's like, well, you're meant to be saving your life here. Ash did quite a good job, I think.
Ash did an excellent job, as did Diane. Diane said, I'm truthful, I speak my mind. Ash said, I'm trying to get to know people and how people are thinking, so I am going around the group. Well, to be fair to Tracy, the one piece of sense she did say was that Ash contradicted herself, because Ash said, oh, I've been talking to everyone. And then in the next breath, she said, I don't talk to Diane yet. So, and Tracy was like, wow, you just lied. You just lied. What else are you lying about?
I know, but I do feel...
Tarot cards out. Death everywhere.
I feel that Ash would just miss the one word out of a sentence. She didn't mean literally. But in this game, I know in this game, you have to be exact with what you say.
So you're right, though, because Ash then in this revote got voted by 2 of the traitors. Miles had no involvement with this.
They winked at each other.
It was a it was a raised eyebrow.
Yeah, that was it.
Paul went boop boop, and Harry went.
Normally, traitors only do this when they know there's no chance of them going back up to that turret to meet the traitor they just voted for, though. So it's a dodgy game to play.
True. I mean,
Miles didn't go for Jazz, did he?
No, Miles went for Brian, I believe.
Yeah. So if Ash does go, those 2 traitors, Paul and Harry, are going to now go against Miles because he didn't follow the lead. So it's written in the stars. This stuff.
That's fair or true, because I think that Miles didn't know. Miles wasn't given.
Why did they not give him a raised eyebrow? They didn't, huh?
Well, if Miles...
singling him out, see those 2.
But obviously Harry was looking at his captain for direction. Miles is more of a renegade and kind of went off on his own path. So that's why Harry noticed what Paul had done. Harry is almost looking up at Harry. Harry's looking at Harry. Harry's looking up at Paul for permission, and I think that's why Paul kind of caught his eye. But no, I don't think that's fair. I don't think they'll go for Miles. I think they'll keep themselves as the 3.
Okay.
I think the bigger question would be, if Ash was to go, whether they would recruit.
No, not yet. There's still 3. They don't need to. Only recruit when it's done.
But again, they could just keep bringing someone in, getting them knocked out, bringing someone in, knocking them out, and then keep the 3 of them.
No, they won't get the 3 of them.
Paul and Harry are going to end up being the 2
When there's 2, they get an option to recruit, don't they? Not when there's 3.
Well, yeah, but you say that.
Although this is the Series 2 twist.
Exactly.
So who do we think? It's come down to a cliffhanger with the editing, which, we had a go at Canada for this. I'm not so angry because it's 3 episodes a week.
I think that's an exceptional edit, and well done BBC for doing it.
So I was just getting to there.
Love.
If you let me finish my sentence.
Right, I shan't.
All right, Zach.
Ben. Voted.
All right, Anthony. But I was going to say, because there's 3 episodes a week, it's not so frustrating when they end an episode like this, is what I was going to say.
Yes.
Whereas Canada was 1 episode a week, which was the most stupid thing ever.
Fair.
So,
but they did it on the top cliffhanger. They couldn't have edited it any better, let's be honest.
The revote, it was still tied between all 3, wasn't it?
No, Ash had 6. Brian had
that was
6.
it.
Diane's safe. She had 3. So Diane, we know, is safe for another week. Gays, all the gays out there, you're fine. She's safe for another.
She stays for the gays.
She stays for the gays. So it's between Ash and Brian. However,
Brian needs to stay for the gays too, and so does Ash, though. So it's all very complicated.
That's true. However, maybe Brian more than Ash. However, Anthony has the deciding vote, and there's history between Anthony and Diane. So let's be honest. I think, despite there being a cliffhanger, I think I'm more excited at the fact of that next week, or next episode 4, is that it's going to be a draw between Ash and Brian, and we're going to find out what exactly is the fate that is going to be decided.
Because when Claudia was describing the rules, she didn't just say you were doing a revote. She then said, and if that revote's also a tie, then it's up to fate. And it's like, oh, left that in, have we, editors? So obviously it's going to be up to fate. Obviously they wouldn't have told us.
That's true.
The rules. We've never heard rules this deep.
They've not had to do that though, because there's only ever been 2.
Yeah, exactly.
So they would have to. Well, I suppose they could have still had a draw. I suppose you're right there. So yeah. But what do you think it's going to be? I know we joked and said cutting Claudia's fringe, but what do you want to think it's going to be?
It's going to be rock, paper, scissors, I guess.
What do you think it's going to
flipping a coin, heads or tails?
I think it's going to be a coin flip. I genuinely believe it's going to be a coin flip.
It'll be a gold coin.
Yeah. Obviously, it'll be a traitor. Heads will be the traitor's head. Dagger, it'll probably be the other side. So it'll be head or dagger. Head or dagger. All right, Annie. So I I hate that that's going to be how their fate is decided. I'll be honest.
Especially when
with
one's
you.
a traitor as well.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, it just feels really scummy that that's how it's going to end. There's no, let's be honest, there's no real reason why they can do another vote. If after there's another vote for the two of them between Ash and Brian and it's still a draw, which it could still be because there's an even number left, then fine, do a coin toss. But I think there should be at least another revote. So a second revote before you go into...
It's not in the budget, it's not enough chalk.
What do you mean?
Not enough chalk, not enough slate. They got their bedtime to get to, and they've got to still murder.
I'll just get one of the production
It's going to be a late night.
Get one of the production runners to run down to the craft store, go to Hobbycraft and grab yourself a box of chalk.
Okay, then. So before you see the next episode, what's your final prediction then? Go. Ash or Sexy Brian?
Well, it'll be a coin
Official
toss.
title.
I can't. I could, if I had a coin on me, I'll toss a coin now and tell you what the answer would be. In fact, no. Have you got a coin on you?
No, I was going to do something.
I'll tell you what. Hang on. I'll do a virtual coin toss.
Okay.
Virtual coin toss. Get ready, kids. This is thrilling.
Well, while we're waiting, as much as I love Ash, Brian has stolen me this episode, so I want Brian to get heads.
So Brian's head.
Brian to get head.
Brian's heads. So Brian's getting heads. Ash is getting tails. I don't mind a bit of tails. So right. So heads or tails. So Brian is heads.
Yep.
Ash
Brian
is tails.
heads.
I've got the coin here. You ready? I'm flipping it.
Oh.
Heads. Brian's in. Brian stays. Oh no, unless that means they really go.
No, he stays.
Okay, so heads means they stay. So heads. Brian stays. Ash goes.
Excuse me.
Have you been going to Brian's head recently? So yes.
My
so
gag reflex is off the chart.
unfortunately, that's how I feel it's going to go.
Okay, so there you go. So everyone get in touch with us and let us know what you think is going to happen, what your predictions are, everything like that.
Absolutely. I just went a bit camp there as well. Look, you can watch us, as I say, on YouTube. If you go to our YouTube channel, just search Faithful to the Traitors podcast. And if you do find us, go and subscribe, comment below, ring the bell, do all that guff and stuff so you'll never miss an episode of us. If you're listening to us on your favourite podcast app, you can also watch us on Spotify if you're a member of Spotify. If you're listening to us on your favourite podcast app, don't forget to subscribe also. And also, if you like listening to us, please give us a review, 5 stars, and share us with your friends. You can share us on X at Traitors Podcast, Instagram at Faithful to the Traitors. You can email us faithfultothetraitors@gmail.com. And again, if you really, really want to help the show, we need a new background thing, then go to buymeacoffee.com/faithful.
You're right.
Silence, please.
We've run over time.
Silence, please.
So there you go. We will see you all again next week.
Sexy voice, hasn't she?
Silence, please.
Claudia, hasn't she?
Yeah, you do what she says.
I will.
So we will see you next week
Dominatrix,
to
what a queen.
find out what has happened. So see you then. Goodbye.
See you then. Bye.